Okay, so we're gonna be looking at variables on both sides of the equal or inequality side, and we're gonna see more than one parentheses. In this case, we're gonna see two parentheses. So this is as hard as the questions can be. This is the hardest it can be, but I promise it's not that hard. Okay, so let's see. Here's my equal sign. I'm gonna have to get rid of parentheses. So I see a parentheses here. I'm gonna multiply the -2 to the inside. Then I see a -1, right? The negative sign, I call it -1. I'm gonna multiply to the inside. All I'm doing is getting rid of parentheses. So I have the -2 multiplied to the inside gives me -2k minus 2, right? -2 times 1 is -2. On the second parentheses, multiply the -1 to the inside. So negative times a 6k is -6k. A negative times a -2 is a +2. And on the right side, I have 3 minus 5k minus 6k minus 3. First thing that I did was parentheses. Now here's my equal sign. On the left side, let me combine what I can. So let's take a look at letter-wise. -2 and a -6, that's going to give me -8k. And then number-wise, a -2 plus 2 is 0. I can write +0, or I can just not write it. I'm not going to write +0 because +0 is useless. So that basically cancel out because it's 0. Now on the right side, let me combine my like terms. When it comes to letters, that gives me -11k. When it comes to numbers, 3 minus 3, cancel out again. So I don't have that. So now, like I said, now that I combine what I could, letters to one side. So this -11k, let me move it over here as a +11k. Letters to one side, and if I have any terms that don't have a letter, move it to the other side. Okay, on the left side, -8 plus 11. Signs are different, so subtract, keep the sign of the large one. I'm gonna say 3k. On the right side, I have nothing, so 0. Let me divide both sides by the number in front of k. So I'm gonna end up getting that k is equal to 0 divided by 3 is 0. So there you go. K is equal to 0. Just in my homework, you just have to type in the number, but k is equal to 0. This is the hardest you can get, and it's not that hard. All right, let's take a look at number 64. Parentheses, I'm going to multiply this 7 to the inside. I'm going to multiply this 2 to the inside. So there's my equal sign. On the left side, I have 5. That 5 has nothing to do with parentheses. Plus 14n plus 35. On the right side, let me multiply the 2 to the inside. So I got 12 plus 12n. Okay. Combine what you can. On the left side, letter-wise, I just have 14n. Number-wise, 5 plus 35, that's going to give me 40. On the right side, letter-wise, I just have 12n. And then plus 12. Nothing could be combined. Notice I did rearrange my letters. I like to write the letter first and then the number that doesn't have a letter. Now, I'm going to move my letters to the same side. So this positive 12n, let me move it over as a minus 12n. This positive 40, let me move this as a negative 40. Don't forget to switch the signs. If you notice, I have letters on one side and anything that doesn't have a letter on the other side. Okay, so on the left, 14 minus 12, that's 2n. On the right side, positive 12, negative 40. Because the signs are different, I'm going to subtract, keep the sign of the large one. That's going to give me a negative 28. Right? 40 minus 12 is 28. Keep the sign of the large one, so negative 28. Now to finish this, let me divide by the number in front of n. So I'm going to divide by 2. Negative 28 divided by 2 is negative 14. Again, this is the hardest it can get, and it's not that hard. Let's take a look at number 65. Get rid of parentheses. So multiply the 7 to the inside and the 8 to the inside. So that's going to give me 7r plus 7 less than or equal to 8r plus 16. Combine anything if you can. On the left side, combine like terms if possible. On the right side, combine them if possible. Now for inequalities, the letter always has to go to the left. So let me move this as negative 8r. And this positive 7, let me move it over as a negative 7. Letters on the left side and numbers on the right side. Okay, so I'm just combining, so nothing happens to my inequality sign yet. On the left side, 7 minus 8, that's a negative 1r. So I'm just going to write it as a negative r, right? It's a negative 1r. On the right side, positive 16, negative 7, that's a positive 9. Subtract, because the signs are different. Subtract, keep the sign of the large one. Now, let me divide by a negative 1, the number in front of r. I divided by a negative, so my inequality is going to flip. So r is greater or equal to 9 divided by negative 1 is negative 9. If I have to type this, r is greater or equal to negative 9. If I have to graph this, here's my negative 9. It's a closed circle because it has the or equal to. When I look at my inequality side, it looks like an arrow that's going to the right. So I go to the right. Now looking at my 66, gotta get rid of parentheses, right? So I see a parenthesis here, multiply the 6 to the inside, and I see it here with a 2. So that's gonna give me, a first parenthesis gonna give me 6x plus 24. The second parenthesis, multiply the 2. So plus 14 minus 10x is greater or equal to negative 7x minus 6 minus x. So here's my inequality side. On the left side, let me combine what I can. 6x minus 10x. It's going to give me a negative 4x. Signs were different, so subtract, keep the sign of the large one. Then I see a 24 plus 14. That's going to be 38. On the right side, I can combine this, negative 7x and a negative 1x. That's a negative 8x and then minus 6. Now, let me move the letters to the left side. So this negative 8x, let me move it over as a positive 8x. This positive 38, let me move this over as a negative 38. So there's my inequality sign in the middle. On the left side, negative 4x plus 8x is 4x. On the right side, negative 6 and negative 38 is a negative 44. Now let me divide by 4. I'm dividing by a positive. My answer at the end might be a negative, but technically I divide by a positive, so my inequality sign does not change. So I get x is greater or equal to negative 11. If I have to type this, x greater or equal to negative 11. If I have to graph this, negative 11 is right here. It's a closed circle this time. My inequality looks like an arrow that goes to the right. So I'm gonna go to the right. This is the hardest it can get, and it wasn't that hard.